Well, away from that, this afternoon, Ghana's railway sector is under massive threat as new footages have emerged with illegal mining activities shown to be damaging the Western Railway corridor in the Takoradi-Akyem municipality, about 3 kilometers of the 60-kilometer active rail line stretching from Takoradi through Akyem to Nsuta in the western region has been destroyed by illegal mining activities, halting the Ghana Railway Company's manganese haulage and other operations. Well, we're here to get answers this afternoon on the pulse. Join me here is the acting CEO of the Ghana Railways Authority, Dr. Frederick. Thank you so much for your time here on the pulse. I'm sure you've seen this footage.
Yes, I've seen this footage. I saw it last week, yes.
How is the Railways Authority responding to this?
Right. What I'll say by good afternoon to your viewers. The illegal mining on the Western Railway line spans from not just, it spans from Mansu to Hini Valley. And at the moment, the epicenter is somewhere around Bonsareo and also Nsuta. Bonsareo is about 54 kilometers from Takoradi and 6 kilometers from Nsuta. So if we're looking at a Suez Bridge all the way to Nsuta are all critical areas under siege. The issue is that on assumption of office, I visited the place in March and April and as well as in May. And once we did that, we put together what I call a temporary team to look at and monitor the entire line. The line is about 68 kilometers. So it stretches throughout the whole Western region corridor. And the issue here is not about monitoring. We are monitoring. It's about how these people act and behave. We tried to do a community sensitization program, I believe, in May, where we introduced a 3X to the community. See it, sort it, see it, say it, and sort it. And this way, we are able to respond through with the Takoradi Municipal Assembly as well as the law enforcement. I have personally reported this over 4 times to Takoradi Divisional Police, which I've done so. Just last week, I reported it as well. The issue here is that these people can operate at any time. So, for example, if you go in maybe in the daytime, they will wait for you to go, and in the nighttime, they will come back. Personally, when I went there in May, we tried to transverse the line during the daytime, during the nighttime. They will run away when they see us. The moment we move our vehicles, they will come back. So the point here is that this requires what I call a joint effort. A joint effort, and it must be sustainable in the long term. So I welcome the NADMOS, formation of NADMOS as announced by His Excellency the President last week to address this issue. We need a sustainable routine approach to address this issue. At the same time, I'll add, we need the support of the communities. For example, Tema to Impagadan, we had issues to do with theft, whereby we conducted a similar approach of community sensitization program, see it, say it, sort it with the community. And we had community people helping us guard against the railway, asset. So similarly, as long as this can be seen as a railway infrastructure issue, this is a national security issue. I have personally, I've been to the Infrastructure and Transport Select Committee. I've made this announcement to them. It needs a joint effort, collaborating not just at transport level, but a joint effort from the transport, minerals, Ministry of Lands and Minerals Resources, as well as the Ministry of Interior, to form a task force to address this issue. And I do believe that the mandate of NAMOS covers that as well.
Interesting. You've been reporting this case to the police, you tell us 4 different times. Has there been any arrest made?
In some cases, yes. And in some cases, we don't get arrest at all. The thing is that they know how the police moves, and they've got intelligence along the route. I have personally been there. These guys are heavily armed along the route and the corridor. So when we went there, we managed to approach some of them. They ran away. And if you go into certain areas, they've got the champagnes close to the Ghana Manganese Corporation entrance, just at the entrance of it. So the thing is, it's not just about trying to move them away from there. It's about trying to have a sustained force to deter them from going there. And like I said before, we need the community support to be able to address these issues.
And these issues, they are quite difficult for you to deal with. Yeah. That's why you set up the committee, right? So far, what's the report they have come home with?
Yes, there's a 3-member committee set up by the Minister, His Excellency Bukhari, Honorable Bukhari, for the Transport Minister, to look at how best we can look at this in a very holistic way. And I think based on the initial report coming out, we will need to form a joint task force between the Ministry of Interior, National Security, as well as the Ministry of Lands and Mineral Resources. But then again, we don't want to duplicate other mandates like NADMOS. So there's no point trying to duplicate effort. What we have to see here is that the railway infrastructure is a very expensive infrastructure. At the moment, we are looking about $5 million per kilometer. I mean, that's a consecutive amount. And some amount go as far as 9.2 million kilometer per $9.2 million per kilometer. So allowing this infrastructure to go away, okay, or to be destroyed by illegal mining, is a terrible thing. The railway that you saw last time, or which is currently in circulation, some of the construction go as far back as 1893. So if you have that infrastructure in terms of that length, and it is now being, destroyed in this nature, and for what? So we need to ask ourselves as a nation, all right, how we are going to deal with this issue. It is not just the railway sector's problem. The problem is that, what is the impact? The impact is that in the near future, we are not going to construct for $5 million per kilometer any longer. We have to construct for $10 million per kilometer. We need to do land reclamation before we start construction. And we need to also put up what I call a sustainable or augment it with a security force, which must be routine, not a one-spot check, to be able to maintain this infrastructure in the future. And this corridor connects our 3 main mines. It connects Nsuta mines, it connects Awaso, and it connects Yineyini. Total volumes that we are looking at is 25 million metric tons. So consecutive amount, if we are doing the haulage alone, is about $186 million in terms of revenue. And this will create jobs. So it is in our collective interest as a country, and of course as citizens, to be able to work together with the law enforcement. Law enforcement will do their job, but the way they are operating is that they know they try to study the pattern.
How about deploying the police or military permanently to this stretch? Have you considered that option? Yes,
that is much more of the, what I call the routine deployment I'm talking about. But having the police doing a spot check inspection one afternoon, one in the morning, is not going to help. You need what I call a sustainable force, routine, deployed, whereby they are on the line 24/7. And as well as we have to also use surveillance or drones to be able to monitor that from what I call tactical point of view. So whilst you are looking at the strategic point of view, you have to look at a tactical point of view to be able to do that. If you look at back what my predecessors did, NIB was involved at some point. This infrastructure, we've spent close to about $1 billion on this infrastructure. And if we allow it to go down the drain, then what I am seeing is that we are not going to have any railway line in the Western region.
So why not adopt the radical approach?
The radical approach, as you are talking about, I mean, if I can understand it, is shoot to kill. That is something that, of course, I cannot sit here to give that. But it must be a collective approach. And, of course, I have to speak to my minister, and my minister can take that to cabinet, and, of course, and a joint decision could be made. But what I can say to you today is that, yes, a 3-member committee has been set up at the transport level where I belong. The idea is that we are going to interface with the other ministries, Lands, Minister of Interior and National Security, in view of NADMOS mandate. We don't want to duplicate effort everywhere. And I don't want to be in a situation to say, okay, we want to form a railway task force. What is the point? Because in some cases, you have the illegal mining being done 3 kilometers away from the formation. So for 3 kilometers away, it is nowhere near the formation. But what is happening is that because they are washing with the chamfine, it is destroying the drainage of the formation. Okay, the actual epicenter is about 3 kilometers away. So it must be looked at holistically in terms of what we value as a national asset, and the railway is a component of it. And we need to work with the NADMOT as well as I said, with the communities to be able to come up with a resolution to this.
This committee, do you have a timeline with which you're working? Because whilst you wait, the distraction continues.
Yes, we have. I've been given a timeline of 2 weeks. At the moment, they'll be sitting down tomorrow again, and we are looking at how best we can address this issue. But I must correct it, this is not an active line. So we should be rest assured. But we are looking at how best we can be able to put this into together. So I'm very confident that in a couple of weeks, the Minister of Transport, Honorable Kari, will announce something, and it will be taken to Cabinet, and a joint decision will be made on that issue.
What will it take to make that line active again?
At the moment, if you look at a standard railway gauge, so we have got 2 lines. We've got a narrow gauge line, which has been subject to this kind of what I call illegal mining. But if you look at the standard gauge railway line, standard railway guide from Angu through to Manso, we are okay. We don't have any issue of illegal mining. Where we do have a bit of issue is Kojokrom, where they are damming our drainage system. So they are damming the drainage system on the culverts as a chamfine to wash the gold. It will not have an impact on the formation currently, because the formation of a railway line is designed for 50 years. But if you are using cyanide to basically wash the gold close to the formation, you are going to more or less degrade the integrity of the formation. So instead of the 50 years for the formation, whole life of the formation, you are looking at about 20 or 30 years, which in terms of profitability, it will reduce the whole life cycle cost of that. But I'm confident that what we are doing now, in terms of the authority, working with the Takoradi Western Regional Police Command, as well as the National Security, we will be able to arrest the issue in its current term, in the short term. But in the long term, we need the report from the Joint Committee, together with the NADMOT's mandates, to be able to implement what I call a long-lasting mitigation for what we are seeing.
And that will take 2 weeks. We're waiting on that. But then, just because you mentioned Kojokrom,
yeah,
the Fourth Estate put out a documentary just highlighting how that railway line has been abandoned for close to 2 years. How are you dealing with it?
Okay, in terms of, yes, if you look at the Kojokrom investment that was done in 2014, a lot was done in terms of $165 million investment was done in that. Since we came into government, we are looking at how best to resurrect the whole entirety of the railway line in Kojokrom. But at the moment, the line is okay in Kojokrom. What we don't have is the rolling stock. And the rolling stock is the vehicle that, of course, the rolling stock is a locomotive, or let me put it, the DMU that you see. We've got issues that we are resolving. And I'm working with the Ghana Railway Company Limited MD he spoke to me this week. We are looking at how we can do the repair. But as far as the line is concerned, from Kojokrom to Takoradi, it's okay.
And why is it not in use?
Because we don't have a functionable or operable rolling stock DMU. The DMU, we've got 2 DMUs. One has got traction control fault that we are looking at resolving, and one too has got issue that basically requiring that we need to look at it and repair. This requires money, and of course, you might ask the question about maintenance culture. This is something that we are going to look at implementing on the maintenance culture to make sure that we are going to have a usable line. So going back to Kojokrom, we have 2 entities. We have Ghana Railway Development Authority. We are responsible for the infrastructure development as well as that. And we have Ghana Railway Company Limited. They are our sister company, and they operate the railway lines. I am working with them. Together with the minister, we are going to find a solution to that. And I am very confident in the near future, not long, we are going to see the 2 DMUs in Takoradi working from Kojokrom.
How much will it cost you to get it functional?
In terms of cost, we are yet, in engineering, of course, something we call preliminary assessment. So we need to look at the degree of the fault.
That assessment hasn't been done?
It's about to be. So
when will it be done?
I'm confident that by the end of the month, we should have an idea of the repair cost and we will look at how we can rectify it as quickly as possible for the good people of Kujokrom and Takoradi.
Another key concern, if you just drive through the industrial area, we see that herdsmen have taken over our rail lines. Are you aware of this?
Yes, so if you look at now, as far back last week, we commissioned a tema to Impakadan on 1st of October. Yes, is it Tulaku is where you're talking about? Yes, we have situations where, you can see the cows crossing the tracks and animals cross. It's true. The issue
There's also one here in Accra, apart from Tulaku, just at the rail line.
Yes, because unfortunately, our design is that we have got lower embankment and open lines. So lower embankment and open lines are susceptible to what I call encroachment. And at the moment, what we are looking at as part of the short-term mitigation action is to basically conduct community sensitization program with the resident along the track to advise them of the dangers of encroachment. We are doing that, but that is not a solution. We have to also look at the medium to long term, that is fencing. So technically, if you look at the normal operational standard for railways, when you have an open line, which is on the ground, you need to fence it to prevent people from crossing. Again, fencing is also high capital intensive, and I need money to do that. So I am confident that in the coming days or weeks, I will be putting proposals to the relevant, to the Ministry of Finance, of course, to beg for money so that I can do some fencing on the line. Once we can do the fencing, that will deter people from encroaching. But
we have a lot of lines like that scattered across the country.
Yes.
That would require a lot of money. Why not just implement, ensure that they are not on the rail lines? How difficult would that be for you?
Yes, because if you look at the design, now at the moment we are looking at the design. So if I will take you back to Western Railway Line. So Western Railway Line, if you look at the construction, we are now at somewhere at Espresso. So work was suspended on 2nd December. When we came into government, we've managed to convince the contractor, and now the contractor resumed site on 6th of August. But we are now looking at the design again to look at how we can raise the embankment. Once the embankment can be raised into a certain height, that will deter people naturally from crossing. Unfortunately, this comes from the preliminary designs that were accepted as a design as an open lines. But if we are looking at a high elevation or embankment of railway lines, it means that you are also looking at cost. So we need to balance the cost as well as the need for safety. So that is something that we have to strike the right balance to be able to do that. But I'm confident that from Espresso to Nsuta will be a new design whereby we are going to raise the embankment at a height that will prevent encroachers, particularly animals as well as people from walking on the line.
How much will it cost to raise these fences?
Oh, so generally, let me give you an idea.
Okay.
From what I said here, if we're looking at Tema to Impagadan is 97 kilometers. If I'm to fence the entire line of Tema to Impagadan, I'm looking at about 200 million cedis.
200 million?
Yes. 200 million cedis to fence the entire line to prevent people from that. And from Western region, if we're looking at Takoradi Port, where we are, all the way to, let's say, Nsuta, and being consecutive, we are looking at 220 million cedis to fence the entire line.
And that's capital intensive.
That is capital intensive.
Do you think we have the finances to fund this?
Yes, that's what we have to triage the approach. So you have to triage it into what we call it and prioritize where the encroachment level is severe. So for example, if you look at it from the Tema to Impagadan, if I get any money, where I'm going to start is Tulaku to fence it quickly. Because there you can fence the what we call it, the highly encroached areas first before you can then look at how you can segregate it across. But it shouldn't be one spot solution of, spending 200 million cedis and fencing the entire line. We need to target where we think the encroachment level is high and try to fence it off first and use the community sensitization program that we are doing currently to basically educate people from not crossing the line.
And I know that you're currently constructing some key lines, especially Tema to Akyem. What's the status report so far, and how well are you doing?
Oh, okay. Tema to Impagadan is already done. Okay. So the line, 97 kilometers, is already in use. I want to advise the general public to go and patronize. Now we are running our shuttle service from Tema Harbour to Afienya and Tema Harbour all the way to Adome. You know, in Pagadan is a water lake, basically. Okay. So you can go there and take the train and that. And we are offering a lot of services there. You don't have to drive all the way to Tema Harbour. You can leave your car, take the train, or you can leave your car, and we've got our sister company, Ayalolo, there. You can take the Ayalolo bus if you want to, and you can also take the GPR2 bus. So the line is already available and functional. We have already commenced the passenger service, and we are anticipating commencing the cargo service by next year.
And what's the patronage like, really?
Well, we just started last week, Wednesday, 1st October. So give me a month. I'll be able to give you some data points. But the good news is that it's digital. So we know we're doing numbers every day. But I think if we're looking at that, we are now also amping our marketing stuff. So if you get a time, I will be more than happy for Joy to share our marketing strategy and stuff like that so people can patronize as well. I don't know how many people live there, but we are trying to advise people not to drive less, take the train. Let's save the environment.
Let's talk about our trains across the country. Are we even getting individuals board our trains?
Oh, yes, we are getting individuals board our trains. I think the reality is that patronage for railway depends on what I call location. Okay. It's like real estate, location, location, location. If you have to have, let's say, an urban transit, I'm not talking an urban transit from CBD area to Oyarifa or Tema to the CBD area, people will patronize. Okay, but now if look at where Tema to Mpagadan is, okay, you are looking at the corridor from Tema Harbour all the way to Mpagadan. This is an intermodal transport system. Yes, we need to be able to provide a service whereby people will can patronize and it will serve their need. That is why we have, we just didn't want to run a railway line. I was very particular about that. We tried to say, okay, look, let's give a door-to-door service. That's why we went to an extent of getting Ayalolo bus to be part of the deal. So Ayalolo bus, for every station, we have 2 Ayalolo buses. And we have also Uber as well as Bolt there. So, and you can drive, we've got car park. So we are providing a door-to-door service for people. So that if you are leaving home, you know that, okay, I can leave my car at the train station, and take it to Tema. Once I get to Tema, maybe I work in Community 1. So I can take the Ayalolo bus to Community 1 and coming back. So we are trying to provide something unique in terms of service offering to give people an alternative choice. But then the point is, someone might ask, why Tema to Mpagadan? That predates me. And that the line is there. My job is just to make sure that at least we are able to pay for the infrastructure as a government. And that is cargo. Passenger service is not profitable venture anywhere. Even in China, it's subsidized. 47%. A lot of people talk about China. Everything, passenger service, high-speed rail, urban transit, they are all subsidized. Similar to United Kingdom, everywhere. So here in Ghana, we need to also see passenger service as a social policy. So I'm confident that at the moment, with the start of Tema to Mpagadan, that will open the doors for future development. And we are looking at key areas that we can have a railway line that will serve the people, rather than, let's say, a few people.
And I'm just going through our social media page right now. I see a lot of questions coming through. We'll take our time and try to read all of them to him in the studio. This one says, when the Tema Mpagadan rail line was built, were made to believe that it was being done under the build, operate, transfers arrangement. Yeah. We want to know if that's still, I'm sure he means, we want to know if that arrangement still stands.
So Tema to Mpagadan was built by the government for a $447 million facility, the Indian Exim Bank facility. So it's a loan to us. But then again, the good news is that it's an open access. What do you mean by open access is that we are going to open the line to private operators as well as state operators. So we are not just going to restrict people from operating. So yes, Tema to Mpagadan is not a BOT concern, it's not a BOT, but the operationalization can be concessioned, okay, to a company to operate it on there. But that is what we call open access. So open access means that we are going to have multiple operators. Some can be operating cargo all the way, and some can be operating passengers. So yes, we are welcoming. At the moment, I have received about 17 applications for track access charges. And this line can take a capacity of 12 operators with the right signaling. So what it means is that with the right signal technology, which we have got on the Tema to Impagadan, we have a capacity for 12 different operators to operate on that line. So it has an open access, and yes, it is on build, operate, transfer, but the operationalization, we are looking at open access model, which is much more of a concession approach that we are adopting.
And I can see a lot of your questions are coming through. We'll ask them because he's still with us in the studio. Before we take our quick break, the question I will ask you when we return is what's the state of the finances of the Railway Authority as we speak? And that question he would answer after this quick time. Please stay with us. Thanks for staying with us here on The Pulse. Now, if you just tune in, I've seen your messages on social media. Yes, we're engaging the man at the helm of affairs at the Railway Authority. You can share your thoughts with us as well, and we'll be reading them to him here on The Pulse. Some key areas we'd like to touch on: finances, key among them for me. I'm wondering, what are the key challenges you're facing, and what's the state of your finances when you assumed office? Okay.
Well, when I was appointed, I think if you look at GRDA, Ghana Railway Development Authority, our revenue rate was about annually, about 4.7 million IGF. I'm happy to say that we have to make some changes. Most of them were not massive. But today, GRDA, I'm only 7 months into office, and we are looking at about 13.8 million cedis, which is good news. Just about 7 months into it. So I'm confident by the end of the year, will be looking at much more a healthy space. But as to why the revenue, leakages were happening, that is something that we have looked at closing and ensuring that we have a broader base in terms of that. And this revenue is just coming from ground rent and leases. So it is there. But what we have is funding issue. And the funding issue is to do with the broader spectrum of railway development, how we are going to fund it. And we are looking at both the PPP aspect, that's the public-private partnership, which is great. But, I'm not a fan of it, not because I don't like it, it's just that it takes too long. And since I assumed office, I've had about 119 investors. Initially, the energy levels were very high, but the moment you open the whole PPP framework to them, it's about 67 pages. And you have to go through every single aspect of it to get approval. They lose interest. And to get to financial close is about roughly 2 years. And a government has got a life of about 2.5 years. So if you are taking about 2 years to reach a financial close for a PPP, how long will it take you to construct the line and operate and get your money? That is something that deters a lot of people. The other one is also land issues, land acquisition. If you look at it, we just mentioned about patronage. Imagine having a railway line from Oyarifa all the way to Central Business District, or from Tema to Central Business District. Look at the patronage. I think you have the highest patronage in terms of Oyarifa to the business district. Because the traffic in the morning, I think if we're living on Oyarifa area, Denta area, go this way. And in the evening, it flows from CBD to that. So what we don't have is land. So for us to access and acquire the land, we have to spend a lot of money. That is why in Ghana alone, I'm not going to use other places. In Ghana, we are constructing for $9.2 million per kilometer, instead of the average of 3.5 or 5 million to our sister country in Kenya in terms of construction costs. And the last bit is also, I will touch on is the maintenance culture. Okay, it's all good talking about investment construction. What is the asset management policy which sustains this asset? Okay, you need to have a proper asset management policy in terms of proper maintenance culture, well-equipped and trained skilled men and women to actually do the work and to make sure that the asset is operating as required. This is what we are missing. We cannot have experts coming in all the time from abroad, or expert coming in from all the time to do this. So if you look at what we are doing to mitigate that, I have really imposed a bit of a knowledge transfer imposition on the current activities on Tema to Impagadan, so that we can have transfer of knowledge as soon as possible for us to be able to maintain the assets so it can operate reliably, safely, and also It could be there in terms of longevity. So these are the issues that we are facing.
This policy you're referring to, it's already in full force. You have it?
Yes. So we now have the rule book and asset management policy underpinning this. That whereby, because when we came in, we looked at what can be done. So for you to operate or develop a railway line, you must have a rule book and an asset management policy that guides the principle of the development as well as the operation. Okay. Without that, you will construct the asset. It will be beautiful, nice. Within 2 years, you will not recognize it. So having the asset management principle, which within that we have the maintenance culture and the maintenance practices, you will be able to sustain the asset over a long time, a long period of time. And that is what we are doing on the Tema to Impagadan to set that operational excellence in terms of asset management, which can be transferred to other places as well.
Railway workers, they're threatening to withdraw their services.
Yes.
They say they have not been paid for 12 solid months.
Yes.
And they have the backing of TUC. What's your response to that?
Well, they are my brothers and sisters. I share the pride with them. And I think most of them know that I'm fighting. The leadership know that I'm fighting in their cause. But I do believe that those, let's say, workers who are and the union members also know that we are sharing their cause. And I don't know whether the effort that I've been putting in is also being shared with the leadership in TUC. When I came to office, I went to see my minister and I spoke to my minister about it. My minister decided, okay, fine. We have inherited this problem. What can we do? So we set up what we call a 3-member committee to look at what can be done in terms of raising revenue, as well as making the pitch to the Ministry of Finance for support. Even this afternoon, my minister went to the Ministry of Finance to seek support for them to be paid. And I have a good news for them. But the key thing is that...
What's the good news?
Oh, the good news is that some payment will be made to them very soon in terms of that. And as part of the authority, we don't work without JRCL. That since we came to office, we have never employed anybody outside of JRCL. So, for example, our head of revenue mobilization is coming from JRCL. All the 15 recruits I've done, I have not looked anywhere else. I go to JRCL and second them and say, oh, come and work with us. You are there doing absolutely nothing. So, on the political side, they have to make a case. And I share the plight with them. 12 months. They've got families, they've got kids, they've got everybody. So it's not just about that. They need to be paid. But we need to, as a government, and also as a, railway workers, we need to look at the best sustainability approach that we can also implement to make sure that we have a long-lasting solution to this. When we came to government, the Western Railway Line has been suspended since 2nd of December. It was suspended. I think 2nd December 2024. We had a series of meetings and we resumed work on the 6th of August. As part of the negotiation with the contractor, I said, look, I have got my sisters and brothers sitting at home at JRCL. So when we resume work and we are doing mobilization, I want some of the workforce to be, hired by you to do that work. So we are looking at how best we are going to more or less get them to work without doing absolutely nothing. That is the issue.
So they're being paid for no work done. Is that the case?
Not necessarily paid for no work done. The fact of the matter is that I made mention of the 2 DMUs that were defective. If the DMUs are not working, what are they going to do? Okay, and if you look at Tema to Accra shuttle, we had a bit of safety integrity issues at kilometer 7. So we had to do a repair. That was about a couple of weeks ago. So as the authority, I spoke to my colleague and the managing director of JRCL. He joined us for the inspection, and we both, together with the minister, agreed that, okay, we need to suspend the service for a while we do repair to rectify it. The ban was lifted just Thursday for them to go back to work. So we are doing whatever we can within the limited, or let's say the organizational resource constraint that we have as a sector to make sure that we can be able to accommodate everybody.
And I'm quite interested in how much exactly they'll be receiving, because they tell us that they are owed for 12 months.
Yes.
And so with this green light you've received from the finance ministry, how many months will be cleared? How much are we even talking about?
Oh, they will get something. And they will get something. But we are also looking at a strategy. I made mention of a 3-member committee. We are also looking at a long-lasting solution there, and that is being led by my boss. That's the Minister of Transport, Honorable Kari. And once the report is ready, we will be able to put a concurrent solution, or what I call a strategy that will be acceptable to both the management team and the unions. We are working to address the issue, and for me, and most of my directors at GRDA, this has occupied our time for a number of time.
So how much exactly is coming into their pocket?
I wouldn't want to preempt that. It will be.
Do you know how much the finance ministry has released?
My minister will be the best position to obviously reveal that. I cannot say that on air. I would like my minister to do that, and once my minister has done it, I will be more than happy to then follow suit. It will not be appropriate for me to.
There are lots of questions popping up on our social media handles. You can still share yours with us here on the Joy News channel. Another key thing this individual is raising is about the Mpakadan port. What's the status of that?
The Mpakadan port is a joint effort. So GRDA, we don't really play a part. We've got our 97 kilometers railway line already there. We've got a place where we are going to store the containers. We are looking at the possibility of how we are going to do the offloading and unloading. I think the port actually sits with my brother and the Director General of GPHA, Volta River Authority, Volta Lake Transport, and also the Ministry of Transport. I can only advocate and push them for us to get a port, because I made mention about cargo. Cargo is what pays for the infrastructure. There is no subsidy in cargo, and it will pay for the infrastructure. If we have cargo on the Tema to Mpakadan line, or arbit all the issues with handling charges, people are saying handling charges and all that kind of stuff, we will be able to earn enough revenue to pay for the infrastructure. So it is important, and it is indeed our national interest as a country to get the port built. So I am confident in the work being done, led by Honorable Busitano at the 24-hour Secretariat, Volta Lake, and I am also supporting in terms of all the discussions that is needed, all the discussion needed for us to get a port constructed. But I'm confident that it will be soon done. It is still on the drawing board. We are looking at how best to do it, and it will be done. And you are going to see a haulage cargo movement on a Tema railhead to Mpakadan, to Bope, to the Sahel regions. We'll be doing it.
When?
Soon.
Soon is not a timeline. You know that,
well,
right?
Yes, because when you are in the middle of a discussion, you don't want to always preempt it. Always when you preempt and people ask you, okay, you give us a timeline, but I will just say soon. People will see cargo movement on the Tema to Mpakadan railway line. Are
we expecting any new lines within the Kumasi to Accra stretch? What's your plan?
The Eastern Railway line was done under, if you look at the feasibility study was done under PPP, which was been done for a bit. I think it was done about a couple of years ago. The feasibility study is ready. We need to look at how best to conduct a market sounding via the PPP framework led by the PIAD and PIU unit of the Ministry of Finance to find a suitable investor or partner to develop that line. That is also a profitable line. And if you look at the original design, the Ghana Railway Master Plan, it goes through Buankra. But at the moment, we are also looking at an alternative to that line, not to the eastern line to Buankra, but on the western line to Buankra via Dunkwa. So the eastern line is there, and we'll be looking at that in terms of market sounding to invite what we call it a tendering process for that line to be conducted soon. It will serve in the national interest, but we need to also make sure that at the moment, in terms of the value of the construction that we are looking at about 4 billion for a single SGL line, okay, with connecting lines. If you are looking at double, you are looking at 6.2, $6.3 billion. So that is something that we have to look at in terms of that. But to do that, we need to also look at the PPP framework. As we have to shorten it for certain sectors, especially for the railway sector, where you are talking about high CapEx in terms of capital expenditure, but the duration of 2 years for PPP is something that I think it's not ideal for any private investor who want to come in there to financial close. We need to shorten it for maybe 6 months, where we can reach a financial close quickly, so that the private individual can then invest their money in a form of a BOT or BOT, whatever, a PPP framework type, so we can get the construction done.
Let's look at the Northern Belt.
Yes.
Is there any strategic plan to also deal with our rail lines in that sector?
Yeah, with the Northern Belt, my minister, Honorable Bukari, had a meeting recently with his counterpart from Burkina Faso, where we are looking at the Ghana-Burkina Faso line. But the Ghana-Burkina Faso line will largely sit in 2 ways. So we have got 3 options to connect that line. We can connect from Tema to Impakadan line on the eastern corridor, or all the way to Paga. But we can also connect to the most profitable line, the Western Railway line, via the Inenyini, Bole, His Excellency's hometown, all the way to Hamale in the west. And we can also connect through the Central line. Central line go through within the what we call the Eastern Corridor, but now Tema to Accra, then it spines off to Bupe, all the way to Paga. That can be looked at as well. But we have 3 options. So we are now, the discussion is still preliminary. So let's see what comes out. But the discussion is ongoing and it's on a drawing board. But I'm confident that the Western Railway line will be where it will take us to the Sahel region.
Under your leadership, where do you see the railway sector within the next few years?
For me, the Western Railway, in terms of what I see, is that I want trains to move again in Ghana, and we are doing that with the support of the minister and also my sector minister. Trains are moving again. Passenger service are moving again. But for me, I want in the next 10 years, wherever I'm able to serve to, that the railway sector contribute to 1% of the GDP of this country. And it can. It is possible. I've seen it done. And it can be done. Because I do believe that if we are able to construct the Western Railway line to Nsuta alone, just Nsuta, we can construct the remaining 3,800 kilometers of railway in Ghana. You need to earn revenue to be able to do the construction. So the vision is simple. I want railways to move again. They are moving. I want to sustain that. I want to add cargo to it. But in 10 years' time, I want the railway sector to add 1% to the GDP of this country. That is the vision. And I hope I have the collective effort of the ministry and everybody to ensure that we can attain that.
Finally, the 24-hour economy, how are you implementing that with your operations?
Yes, because now we are only running the passenger service. Ideally, let me use the Tema to Impagadan. Tema to Impagadan ideally will, daytime from 5 a.m. to about 6 p.m., we are going to run this passenger service to that. And from 7 p.m. to 4 a.m., we'll be running cargo. So the 24-hour economy will be implemented very soon. And you're going to see it on the Tema to Impagadan line very soon.
Very soon again, no timeline?
No. When I talk about timelines, in terms of getting the cargo, yes. Cargo locomotive, we are in the process of acquiring it. Okay. But of course, to get the throughput in terms of the haulage volumes, we need the dam. So for me to sit here to preempt that would be a bit unfair. So I need to allow my seniors at the Secretariat to look at what they are doing, as well as the Joint Committee looking at this, to come up with a concrete plan. And I can speak to that plan. But yes, we'll be moving cargo on the Tema to Impagadan line soon.
Okay, we're wrapping up the conversation. I can only take 2 questions, pardon me. This one wants to find out, he says, is the Ghana Rail Lines Authority in debt in any way? Explain. We'll come to you for an answer for that. And then this individual wants to know construction of the Tema Impagadan railway line. That he has already answered. Yes, that he has already answered. And this individual wants to find out, the maintenance culture is poor. What are you doing to fix it? So 2 questions, then we're wrapping up.
Maintenance culture, and the first one was? Has
to do with the debt. He wants to find out if the Railway Authority is in any debt whatsoever as we speak.
Oh, yes. Yes, in terms of debt, We have the $447 million Tema to Mpagadan as a debt that we have to pay. We also have our office space. We owe about $300,000. I inherited that for office space, but I quickly moved us during my first week assuming office. I'm not going to pay $300,000 for a first floor building office space. I wouldn't do that. So we have got some debt that we have to settle on the facilities, but our debt is largely related to development, okay? And I will talk about the Tema to Mpagadan of $447 million that we have to find ways and means to pay for it, and that's the open access model that I spoke to you about. The Western region as well, we are developing, and if you can, from what I know, we've got a bit of debt there. The total amount of debt that we are looking at is about $400 million that we have to also pay. You see, and this sits with the authority. So for me, I need to find innovative ways to pay this debt. When His Excellency met us in the course of the year, when our appointment somewhere in May, he made it clear to all the CEOs and SOAs, if you need to find ways and means to operate and pay your debt. So it's not just a government debt. We need to find innovative ways. That's why I am very, consistent about getting the private sector involvement in the operation. We must find ways and means to pay these debt. So that's that. In terms of maintenance culture, the maintenance culture at the authority level roughly has been very good at the railway authority. Yes, because a lot of people, you have to make a distinction. The distinction is clear. We have the Ghana Railway Company Limited and we have the Ghana Railway Development Authority. Within authority, we have to look at our maintenance culture. We have developed, as I mentioned, our asset management principles. We have our asset management strategy, our tactical recovery process for everything. We've got our rule book, we've got our maintenance strategy, we've got our operational strategy. I am making sure, together with my management and of course my board, that we are implementing all these maintenance strategies to rectify these issues. And the case in point is what I mentioned about the Tema to Mpagadan, where I have instructed all the maintenance team to go over the maintenance schedules to make sure all the maintenance are properly effected before the train leaves the depot as well. We are also doing a similar approach for the track maintenance, where we are making sure that all the maintenance work and defects have been rectified before the train goes out. So we are implementing that, and I am policing that very carefully.
Thank you so much for your time here on The Pulse. We appreciate your time. We've just been engaging the CEO of the Ghana Railway sector. We appreciate his time here on The Pulse. Away from that, the scientific community in Ghana is sharply divided over the use of a new technology that will help clean our water bodies. We'll tell you all about that after this quick turn.